Hey everyone, we're here to work on the NITRO CDN update for your NITRO Studio Crow Canyon sites. What I've got going on my screen here is on the right-hand side, I have the update article that we posted. You should have received this in your email. If you're watching live right now, it's in the chat, but this URL that we're looking at up here, here, let me expand it out. So www.crowcanyon.help/nitro-cdn-update is going to be the help article that we're going to be following along here for updating the site. And then on the left of my screen, I've got just one of our clients' sites. It's not important what this site is or what this looks like. All the different sites are going to look differently. You might have an administration link, or you might have the ability to get to site contents and some of these other things that we're going to use during the meeting through your site. But we're not going to use anything specific to your site or any of the Crow Canyon NITRO Studio sites that we have. We're going to use URLs to get where we need to go so that it will be applicable to anyone using any of the different versions of our systems to make this update. So we are going to follow along with this article over here on the right, but I'm going to skip through it, but you should read all of the information here. We're just going to skip down to this detailed steps section and step one. One important thing that I will point out early on, and we have tried to make it explicit in these instructions, but we are going to have to repeat some of these steps for every site that's in our site collection, and I'll mention that and talk about it more shortly. But I just wanted to re-emphasize that the steps that we're going to do here in this webinar today are just going to be one time through for the steps that need to be repeated, and we'll talk about that more when we get down to the bottom of this. So one of the things that we're able to do here in these instructions is we're going to take this domain that's in our URL bar over here on the left, and we're going to modify that to get to a good starting spot. So what this is showing us here is that your domain is going to start out with https:// and then yourdomain.sharepoint.com, right? So if I click in up here to see my full domain, you'll see in my upper left-hand corner here, https, and then // and then this particular one is Durham Green. And it's not important whatever your domain is, but it will follow the same pattern where it says .sharepoint.com /sites. We want all of that information. And then this particular one is the Royce-assets, and then another /. And that's what we're looking at here. We get to sites, and then a /, whatever your site or site collection name is. And then after that /, there's other information that is not needed for this purpose, right? What I need is to get this here, /layouts15 user.aspx. I need that text after my site collection name. So I'm just going to copy that text here. And then I'm going to go up into this URL. And as you see here, I have that sites, and then whatever is after that in between these two /, in this case, the Royce.assets, that's what I need to save. And then what I want to get rid of is all of this, site pages, all of that stuff there. So if I paste this in, I've intentionally pasted in with two /. That's an easy mistake to make. All you need to do is go in and get rid of one of those. So you just have one / there. And your URL should follow this idea. HTTPS // yourdomain.sharepoint.com /sites, whatever the site collection is, and then this layouts that we just posted in, ending with .aspx. And when I hit that, and I hit enter, it's going to load up. It's going to bring me to this permissions page. And in this particular situation, I can see this site collection administrators here, right? When I see that, that lets me know that I am a site collection administrator on this site. I can click into that, and it will open up this pop-up screen, which is what this step is showing here. This step 7 is showing the site collection administrators screen. And we can see all of these site collection administrators here. If I see my name there, then I know that I am. If I wanted to put someone else in there, I could, but I need to be a site collection administrator to be able to do this update. So if you can't get past that step, then you need to talk to someone who has permissions on this site, maybe a global admin in your 365 environment, something along those lines, to get your name or to get you to be able to see this site collection administrator's link. But just seeing that link there lets me know that I have the permissions. I don't need to do anything else at that point. I now know that I have the permissions, at least for this site collection, to do the steps that I need to do for this update. So now we're going to do another thing similar to what we've just done, where we're updating our URL in our browser to have a little bit different than that layout 15 users that we're on right now. This time we're going to have layout 15 settings.aspx, this URL right here, which is a little bit different. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back up into my URL bar of my browser, and I'm going to paste that in there, making sure I don't have two forward slashes in there. Hit enter on that, and now I'm to the site settings here. So this might be in a different pages have different layouts of this, but what we're looking for is this site administration and then this Crow Canyon Nitro apps that we have right here, right? So I see the site administration here. I'll just zoom in on that for you guys. And then down here, I see all of these Crow Canyon ones. And we specifically need to go to this one that is the Crow Canyon Nitro apps, one that I'm mousing over right here. That particular link is the one that we want to use. So clicking on that. While we're waiting on that, there are some instructions here that say, in some situations, you may not see that particular link in there. In that situation, there's specific directions that you might want to follow, these three bulleted instructions here that you might want to follow to get to a place that you would see that Crow Canyon Nitro apps link. And it's a rare situation, but you may have a particular deployment where you wouldn't see that, and you just need to put this subsite information in. So this page is loaded up. This is the Nitro apps homepage. And as the instructions show here, what we're really looking for is this link in the upper left-hand corner that says Nitro Admin Home. For this particular step, we just need to click directly on that Nitro Admin Home link. And again, this page load might take us a little bit of time to load, especially if we haven't been here recently and it's not cached in our browser. So once that page loads, there's a lot of information up here. It might take a little time for a second one to load in. This is the mandatory update reminder. This also has a link to that URL. So if you didn't have that link before or weren't able to type it in when we were talking about it at the beginning of this, you can click on that link here and it will take you to these instructions if you want to follow along in those. We also have this setup, which we're going to use here shortly. But first, what we need to do is we need to find out all of the site collections that we have. Now, I mentioned site collections earlier. We need to run this update for each individual site collection. And the steps that we're going to take right now are going to give you a list of all of those site collections that you have in the site, and even maybe pare down that list so you have fewer of them in your that you need to update. So over here on the right, we have this subscription details and add subscription. We want to follow this subscription details. Another thing that I'm going to point out right now while we're on this particular page is that if you're watching this video, you're going to want to see 2.5 here. I'm sorry, you're going to want to see 2.6 here. You're not going to want to see V3 anything. If you see V3, you should be using a different recording of this training. But if we see that a version 2.6 anything is available, we might have an update between now. So it doesn't matter that it's 2.61, just 2.6 anything is the latest version that we want to see here. And you also want to see that these versions, for example, are 2.5 something. Once we update these, they will be at 2.6 something, and that's how we can tell that those sites have been successfully updated with this mandatory update that we're doing today. So I'm going to click on this subscription details button. And again, because I haven't been to this page, it might take some time to load. I'm also using a site that's based out of Australia, and the Australian servers sometimes are a little bit slower than other places in the world. So when I get to this page, I see current site collections up here, and then I also see all site collections. This is actually at 2 different tabs. I need to click this all site collections tab, and it's going to change what I see on the screen here. And then this section here, site collections, are going to show me all of the site collections that I have on this particular tenancy. So your tenancy will have a different list here. It's not important that you have the same number of items or the same names of items here. This is just showing me all of the different site collections that I have in my SharePoint environment. So this particular one has 5 different site collections currently, and I can see all of them here. And each of these is a link to those, and we'll use those links in just a second. But the first thing that I want to do is I want to use this link right here, clear deleted site collections, to remove any that are maybe have been deleted since this was last updated, or maybe they're not part of my site collections anymore. This isn't doing anything to the environment, to the actual SharePoint environment. It's just updating this particular table, this particular list on this screen. So I'm going to click that button. It's going to switch over to this please wait icon over here, and we're going to wait that out. And I don't expect it to change anything here, these 5 that we see, but maybe we will. Now it does reload the page and it switches me back to this other tab. So I need to switch back to all site collections here. And yeah, I still have those same 5 that I had before, which is fine. So we've proceeded through this and we've gotten to this gray bar, that's this gray section here that's in the instructions, and it's saying important. This is a list of all the activated site collections that you will need to update. Every site collection listed here will need to be updated to complete this mandatory update. Each will need step 4 below completed on it. Step 3 is only needed 1 time. So this list is my list of all the site collections, and because it gives me a convenient link to get to each one of those site collections, I'm going to leave this tab open, right? I have this tab open in my browser. It says NITRO Studio. I'm going to leave this tab open. I'm going to open another one with the very first site in this site collection. So I'm actually going to click on this assets one. It's going to open up. This is actually the same place that we were previously. Oh, apparently I need to log in again. All right, that should get it. Great. So what I've done here is I've left that tab open so I can reuse it on the steps in the future. I've opened a new tab with my very first site collection. So it doesn't matter where I started from originally. I could have started this from any site in my site collection, any page on that site, doesn't matter. All of these instructions led us up to this point where now we have this list of our site collections, and I've opened up the first site collection in that list. And again, we're going to do this situation where we're going to edit our URL. So I'm just going to copy that same URL suffix that we had before. I'm going to edit this particular one to get to there, paste that in, and hit enter. It's going to take me back to the same site settings page that we had before. Could be a different one, but this happens to be the same one that we were on before. And we're going to use that same link, Crow Canyon Nitro Apps. This is basically repeating the same steps that we have done already, but just for our first site collection. We're kind of redoing these so that we can leave this list open for use later. Again, this might take a minute to load. Okay, so again, we're going to follow the same step that we did before. We're going to click on this Nitro Admin Home here. And that actually brings us down to step 3. So step 3 is only needed this one first time. And we say this in the instructions in a few different places, but we only need this step to be done once. And I want you to notice that right now, for a minute there, only this mandatory update was showing. This setup button hadn't loaded in yet. And sometimes it takes time for that to show up. But when you come to this site for the first time, Now that we're here on our first site collection, we want to wait for that setup button to show, and then we're just going to click that setup button, and we're going to get the same screen that we're seeing on the left and the right here. It's just going to go and update that actual first portion. What this is doing is it's updating the Nitro web parts and other components that are in the system. This shouldn't take very long, maybe 5 minutes, but usually just a couple of minutes to get this particular step done. All right, great. So we got our success message here, successfully set up NITRO Studio, and we can just close that window. It's the same success message that is shown in the instructions on the right. So I'll go ahead and click close there. And then this page is reloading. You can see that it's reloading in my browser tab here. And I'm just going to let that reload finish. So now that it's reloaded, I shouldn't see the setup button up here anymore. I am going to still see that mandatory update button because we haven't done the update of NITRO itself for this site collection. What we've done is just the component step, and that step number 3 in the instructions on the right here, needs to be done only once. That has taken care of it for all the site collections in my tenancy. So now we're back on this page shown here, and whatever your site collection name, in my case it's assets, but whatever your site collection name is going to be up here, and then you will see maybe one site, which is all I see here, but you might have 4 or 5 different sites in this site collection, and for that situation, you have 2 options for step 4. Option A is to update all of the sites in one go, right? And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to click this update all activated sites link that's up here. The second option that I have is that I can do them one at a time. And the way that I would do them one at a time is I would just use this link for that particular site. So imagine, like you see in this image over here, that we had multiple sites going down on the in this list here. I would have multiple of these little update buttons, and I could choose which one of those I wanted to do. There's not really any advantage or any reason. It would take about 40 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on how much information is in this site or how many things need to be updated in this site, to update each one of them. And my computer can't sleep or lose internet connection or any of those things during those updates. So if there are a lot of them and you can't leave your computer on for 6 hours or whatever, if there's so many of them, you certainly can do them one at a time. But the preferred method, and a method that will work best for most users, is going to be to just click this update all activated sites. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Once we start this update, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to stay on this meeting to see it all the way through to the end, but I will go through what the steps following this will look like for you. And we'll talk about how to do step 5, which is repeating the steps that we've just done for all of the other site collections. So I'm going to go ahead and click the update all activated sites here, and it's going to give me this screen. Again, it's just saying, look, there's going to be one site that we're going to be updated. However many sites you have showing in the background here is the number that it will show there. And it says, please do not interrupt this process, meaning don't close the window, don't turn off your Wi-Fi, don't restart your machine, any of that stuff. And then it says after this upgrade is done, depending on the NITRO version, if custom theme is used, this is not necessarily part of this mandatory update. It just so happens that this version that this site was on before has a different update that is taking this into consideration. You don't necessarily need to worry about this for this mandatory update. All we need to do here is just click OK. And it's going to start this progress bar. This progress bar has this bar that we're looking at the top that is going to be the overall progress. And then for some of these steps, we'll see a second progress bar open down here. Sometimes it does take a little while for this to make progress. You can see we're at 4% right now, and we're on this particular step. But if you're concerned about it, watch it for a few seconds, and it usually will change the text here and the percentage, letting you know that this is progressing as expected. So Once we get done with that, we will get this updated successfully with this 100% here, and all we would need to do is click OK. We're going to let this one run in the background. I am going to go over and show you how you could start the next one following this step. We have two browser tabs open here that say NITRO Studio. This is the one with our progress bar on it. It's moved to 6% now, but we wouldn't want to do this next until this one got all the way to this view that we are seeing on the right-hand side where it says 100% and that it's been updated successfully. And then we would click OK and we could close this browser window. Obviously, I don't want to do that now. I'm in the middle of an update. But once we did that step, it would return us back to this page that we left open. You'll remember this was all of the different site collections that we have. I started with this first one, which is assets, right? So once my assets one has completed, I would switch over to my next one here. I would click that link. It's going to open that site collection in the browser again. And we have these navigational shortcuts down here. You can go follow the instructions over again. This site has, it's interesting, I haven't seen this issue before, but these navigational shortcuts here, I think this is just a demo site in their environment anyway, but I'm just going to copy that URL because I'm going to use the shortcuts here. I'm going to do what we did before, which is to replace part of my URL there. I'm going to hit enter. And then it's going to tell me now I'm in this site settings. Yep, I am. Click the Crow Canyon Nitro apps link. You'll remember this link that we were talking about before, right? So I'm going to click into that particular link. And then here it says the next step is that I'm going to go to the Nitro admin link, which you'll remember is up here, this one that's highlighted here. And I can follow those steps over and over and over again, right? So these down here are going to give me that shortcut to get to the location that I need to run step 4. I only need to do step 4. I can use step 1 and 2 to get to where I need to go, or I can use these navigational shortcuts down here, but then I need to run step 4 over again. And there's a link down here that helps me go to that step. So it's going to pop me back up into the step 4 again while we're waiting on this to load. And then I have those two options, right? I can update all activated sites, or I can update just one site at a time. So this has gotten me there. I'm going to click the Nitro admin home link. It does show another update option up here for this particular site. I don't necessarily need to use that update. What I really need to do is just update the site on the screen here. This subscription, this is a demo site for them. This has said expired. Yours probably will not say that. This is just another site that has an expired license that they don't use for their organization. So here we are again, and I could click that. I'm not going to do it now because, like we said, I'm still running an update. We have the two progress bars showing now. The top one is at 32%, and this is running through because it's updating Nitro forms, showing me a progress bar for that particular methodology. But for each one of these site collections that are listed here, I'm going to follow these instructions. I'm only going to run one at a time, right? So I'm waiting for this one to finish. I certainly can get to this point on a separate tab, waiting to push this update all activated sites. I could do that for each one of these. There's no problem in doing that, right? I could get to that point and then just leave these queued up, wait for this one to finish, and then I could launch this one by clicking activate, update all activated sites here, and then repeat, repeat, repeat for each one of these 5 site collections that I have. Once we get done with that, we're going to have that particular Nitro apps updated successfully. And all of our, I'll just go back to this one, all of our versions will be at 2.6. You'll see this one's at 2.0. We were looking at 2.5s on the previous site. This one just hasn't been updated because it's not in use by them for a long time. But all of them will be at 2.6. And when I see that 2.6 in all of the sites, That's how I know that they've been successfully updated to this new version. In this case, they will say 2.6.1 because that's the most recent version, but since this recording has happened, we might have a 2.6.2 or something like that. Doesn't matter what the third number there is. We just need to make sure they're at 2.6 something to know that all of those sites have been updated. Hopefully this has been helpful. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us at our support address or reply to any of the emails that we've sent you regarding this update. Hopefully it goes smoothly for you guys, and hopefully you have a great day. Thanks, everyone.